It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to the 2023 Pulitzer Prize ceremony. This is your ceremony, and we are fortunate to be here with you and your friends and your family to honor your prize-winning journalism, fiction and nonfiction, drama, poetry, and music. Let's get warmed up with a round of applause for all of you and your work. Before we get too far into our celebration, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge some of the people who are not here today. First, we want to send our support to Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich, who was jailed by the Russian government on espionage charges since March. The Wall Street Journal and the U.S. government adamantly deny the charges, and we again join in calling for his immediate release. Second, we condemn the slaying last year of Jeff German, an investigative reporter for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, who was stabbed to death outside his home. A public official who German was investigating at the time of his death is facing trial for murder. Others who could not be here tonight because they are out reporting on horrendous wars of our time. I want to acknowledge the 21 journalists and media workers among the thousands of other civilians, and they are civilians, who have died since October 7th in the war between Israel and Gaza, Israel and Hamas. That number is climbing daily. And we want to recognize the 15 journalists and media workers who have died in the ongoing Russia and Ukraine war. All of those have given their lives for the mission of informing the world. Today's awards recognize many of the brave journalists who have covered the war in Ukraine, and we honor journalists working on the front lines of democracy at home, covering corruption at the federal, state, and local level. Small local and digital news organizations under tremendous financial pressure have won several of the prizes tonight, with essential reporting that would not have been done if they had not been there. We are celebrating journalism, arts, and letters focused on some of the most fraught issues in contemporary America: abortion, addiction, racism, immigration, and inequality. In words, photographs, and music, you have given voice to the voiceless. You have moved us and inspired us, and we thank you. We want to thank the many people behind the scenes in publishing houses, theaters, and newsrooms and concert halls who helped bring your work to light. Even if you labor alone in the trenches or at a desk, we know it takes many other people to deliver your work to the public. So for all of you, and for all of those holding you up, a round of applause. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the 20th president of Columbia University, Minouche Shafik. President Shafik is an economist, a leader of higher education, and the first female president of Columbia University. Before arriving, she wore many hats. She served as the president and vice chancellor of the London School of Economics She served as Deputy Governor of the Bank of England, as Deputy Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund. But for our purposes, here tonight, we want to welcome her as the newest member of the board of the Pulitzer Prizes. So I'm pleased to have her join our deliberations and our awards ceremony. President Shafiq.
Well, good evening, everyone. And I wanted to start by recognizing a few very special people in the room. First of all, my fellow Pulitzer Board members, including the co-chairs Neil Brown and Tommy Shelby, and of course, my colleague Jelani Cobb, the dean of our fantastic journalism school here at Columbia. I also wanted to thank Marjorie Miller, who administers the prizes so capably, and I want to congratulate all the winners of the 2023 prizes. And I also wanted to mention, of course, my predecessor, Lee Bollinger, a distinguished First Amendment scholar who's done so much to promote journalism at this university, and especially, of course, the prizes. I know that Lee is incredibly proud of the work that he's done with the Pulitzer Board, and I know how deeply he believes in the mission of the prizes. And I'm so pleased that we're going to celebrate his 2-decade-long tenure with all of you tonight. It's been a whirlwind for me, having just been appointed a few months ago, as I've gotten to know this wonderful university, its students, its faculty, alumni, and our neighbors. And when I took the job, I was told the biggest perk is that you get to be associated with the Pulitzer Prizes. So I'm very much looking forward to this role. Indeed, as someone who, as Marjorie said, has had many hats that are in the public realm, I know deeply the value of great journalism and great writing, and I know deeply that it is under threat in many parts of the world. As president of Columbia, home to these prizes and home to one of the finest journalism schools in the world, we have a special role in training the great journalists and writers of the future and shining a light on outstanding storytelling. And of course, there are many synergies between the missions of great universities and great journalism and great writing. We train the future readers to be critical thinkers. Our research generates the facts and the expertise that inform your stories. And of course, you educate and inform the public, which is vital for preserving the democratic context in which universities can thrive. Earlier this week, I attended the Knight Bagehot anniversary dinner and the Cabot Prizes yesterday. It was great to see the Knight Bagehot Fellows, who had endured courses in accounting and corporate finance at Columbia Business School, so they could better report news on business and economics. And at the Cabot Prizes last night, I was so moved by the stories of brave journalists literally risking their lives to report on injustices in Latin America. Anything we do at Columbia to shine a light and perhaps offer a bit of protection to enable this important work is vital. I can't imagine anyone understands that better than the people in this room. You have devoted your lives and your talents to telling the stories that need to be told in the service of pursuing the truth and grappling with the biggest challenges we all face. This year alone, we are recognizing journalists covering the war in Ukraine, those reporting on ethics in government, poverty, racism, and the rights of vulnerable people. And we're also celebrating writers, scholars, and artists, offering vivid depictions of some of the most complex and consequential issues facing humanity. You all deserve enormous credit for what you've done and what you will continue to do. I am so looking forward to serving on this board and very much looking forward to doing everything I can to recognize the very best in journalism, books, drama, and music. And with that, enjoy your dinner. Thank you.
I hope you all enjoyed your dinner. And I want to introduce the next part of our ceremony and to welcome to the stage one of our illustrious co-chairs, Neil Brown, who is the president of the Poynter Institute. And Neil's been on the board, this is his 9th year, and he's co-chair with Tommy Shelby. So please give a round of applause for Neil Brown.
Well, good evening, everyone. How many had the short rib? How many had the fish? How many had the vegetarian? Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Marjorie, and thanks for the work of the entire, not just Pulitzer Board, but the Pulitzer team, which does a brilliant job, and congratulations to all our winners tonight. It's my great honor to speak to you for a couple of minutes and to thank President Shafiq, President Bollinger, for us being here tonight, as always, for an inspiring evening at the Low Library. So thank you. So one afternoon last week, just a day or two after Israel and Gaza erupted in horrible, violent chaos, my inbox filled with a dozen emails, one after another, staccato in rapid succession. They all had the subject line, "War in Israel on WhatsApp." War in Israel on WhatsApp. War in Israel on WhatsApp. These had come to me on a listserv of international fact-checking journalists working in more than 36 countries. They were trying to verify or debunk a new round of sensational posts on WhatsApp about the war. Were there 40 babies murdered? Has anyone seen the video? Were kids being held in cages? What's the source on that? Were soldiers going house to house shooting civilians? I'm sure you have all had your own messages and your own inboxes filled with these bursts of messages. It's a tidal wave of fictions mixed with facts, of unimaginable suggestions, yet not easily dismissed, and possibly fake or sent to us by artificial intelligence. It is visceral, it is unsettling, it is confusing. The viral spread of ugly and often untrue information is not remotely new to any of us in this room tonight, and yet it remains so startling and jarring. The fact checkers were trying mightily to collaborate in the name of truth to bring some semblance of a standard to the information ecosystem, to speak up for what we know and acknowledge what we don't. But sorting out the facts is an uphill climb, even in much less volatile times. And it is even harder when you are doing this from afar. From afar. I mention this not as a rant against technology or the mischief and cynicism of social media. And currently, there is no Pulitzer Prize category for news on WhatsApp. Probably someday, I don't know. No, I bring this up not to lament, but rather to frame why we gather here tonight in the Low Library. Tonight, we embrace and celebrate courageous, creative, and consequential writing, scholarship, and journalistic storytelling. Work so important and so well done that it is worthy of a Pulitzer Prize. Tonight, we honor those who have thrown themselves fully into creating the best of arts and letters and journalism. And they achieve this not from afar, they do it on the ground. On the ground, often at great risk and at great personal cost. They are on the ground. On the ground in Mariupol to report on the horrors waged on Ukrainian civilians. On the ground in Appalachia to open our hearts and minds and deepen our understanding of the pain of addiction, the consequences of a broken foster care system, and to show us the inspiring spirit of those who find their way through. On the ground in the offices of power in Jackson, Mississippi, demanding answers for why money intended for the state's most vulnerable wind up in the hands of well-to-do celebrity football players. Pulitzer winners set a standard for excellence and integrity on the ground. And here's one other characteristic of those doing this work and reaching such heights. It is this undervalued trait, patience. It is patience. They go, they stay, they go back. They understand that it takes patience to capture complexities and hard realities. They go, they stay, they go back. They believe that context is more important than clicks. Truth is more important than traffic. Friends, there is nothing artificial about the commitment and patience it takes to tell the story of a pregnant woman living on the streets of Los Angeles, or the patience and care it takes to find the deeper story of a big-hearted but flawed man whose murder by a police officer would alter the trajectory of racial justice. Yep, it takes patience. And our patience is now again tested by terrible events. We have colleagues on the ground under fire in Gaza and in Israel. As Marjorie noted, 21 journalists, possibly more, have been killed in recent days. Meanwhile, the war in Ukraine sees no end in sight. There are journalists working under threat everywhere, from Mexico to Missouri. And writers, photojournalists, artists, and others face profound threat and harassment from those who have hijacked free expression as a way to intimidate and spew hate. Each year, the award of the Pulitzer Prizes is an important moment to stand with those who confront arrogance and explore uncomfortable truths. And from time to time, we add our financial resources to that support. 2 years ago, the Pulitzers awarded $100,000 to aid Afghan journalists stranded when the United States military left that country. Today, the Pulitzer Board held its fall meeting, and I am pleased to report to you that the board has voted to establish a special committee on awards and citations, funded with an initial grant of $100,000, so that we can make awards to support the well-being and safety of those who are working under dangerous threat. The folks that we tend to support are on the ground all over the world. Our goal is to help them bring journalism, perhaps Pulitzer-worthy work, to advance our understanding. We will keep you posted on the details of who we will work with and how we plan to get that resource to the folks who need it most. Earlier this year, the deputy mayor of Mariupol wrote a letter of thanks to the Associated Press, thanking that entire team for its brave journalism, particularly that of the 3 Ukrainian journalists, AP team members, who stayed behind after all other journalists had needed to get out. Their photos, videos, and stories directly contributed to creating a corridor for the evacuation of thousands of residents. The deputy mayor wrote this, quote, "Without exaggeration, you saved several tens of thousands of civilians, and it is difficult to overestimate your personal contributions here." The deputy mayor concluded his letter this way: "Thank you for your patience." Tonight, we celebrate that work, and so, though I forgot to bring up my glass, I propose a toast to the Pulitzer Prizes, to patience, and to peace. Hear, hear. Thank you. Now it's my pleasure to turn it over to my co-chair, Professor Tommy Shelby. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Neil, for those wonderful remarks, and good evening, everyone. Just one last thing to do before we get to the prizes. I know they are very eager to have that, and we're very eager to recognize the winners tonight. But this is former President Lee Bollinger's last year presenting Pulitzer winners with their prizes. Now, elected members of the Pulitzer Board, we serve a maximum of 9 years. The president of Columbia University, however, serves ex officio for as long as they are president. And Lee Bollinger served on the board for 21 years, as long as anyone in recent memory. Now, in addition to being one of Columbia's longest-serving presidents, Lee is a leading and prolific constitutional law scholar. He's done highly distinguished and influential work on freedom of expression, freedom of the press, and anti-discrimination law. And we know from his long fight to defend the fairness and the legality of affirmative action that his commitment to diversity, inclusion, and tolerance is profound. Lee brought this invaluable expertise and these critical values to his service on the Pulitzer Board, and we all benefited enormously from his experience, his keen mind, and his practical wisdom. In the 8 years that Neil and I have served with him, Lee has been a very active member, fully participating in our sometimes rather intense deliberations. We made some tough, some meaningful, some unforgettable decisions together. And although we are extremely fortunate to now work with President Shafiq, Lee, you will of course be greatly missed. It is a Pulitzer tradition that when a board member departs, we issue a resolution on behalf of the board, which I'd like to read to you. Resolved, that the Pulitzer Prize Board, in bidding sad farewell to an outstanding and long-serving member, dedicated to the highest principles of journalism and the arts, expresses deep gratitude to Lee Bollinger for his remarkable equanimity, his astonishing breadth and depth of knowledge, and his abiding sense of fairness, and extends to him our most affectionate best wishes for continued success in all his endeavors. And it's also a tradition that the departing member be honored with a scroll signed by all current members. And Lee, we'd like to present that to you now. Thank you, my dear friend. I'll hold on to this for you, maybe. Yeah. I'll turn things over to Lee.
So thank you very, very much. I love the board. I love the people on it. I've made very close friends over the years, and it's just a wonderful thing for me to hear Tommy and Neil's comments on behalf of the board. I just have a very brief statement, then we'll go right to the awards. For just over 2 decades, I have served as a member of the Pulitzer Prize board. This is my last official opportunity to speak to that experience. President Shafiq will now have the pleasure and honor of joining the board, and the prizes will benefit enormously from her extraordinary talents. Journalism, the press, is not for me an unfamiliar area of life. I grew up in the context of a classic small-town daily newspaper, where my father was the editor and publisher. I was the janitor. And for fairly obvious reasons, the arts and scholarly arenas are also close to my heart and lived experience. Over these 2 decades, so much has changed in our world. And we all know those changes have had huge impacts on journalism, the arts, and scholarship. But 3 things have remained true. One is that we value these roles of journalism, the arts, and scholarship, and that has remained central to a good life, personally, socially, and politically. The second is that good and talented people continue to join these professions. And the third is that the Pulitzer Prizes annually provide the world with the occasion, like tonight, to honor and celebrate these critically important areas of human endeavor and the people who perform at the highest levels in them. Looking back, it might be said of me that I became president of Columbia in order to join the Pulitzer Prize board. I will not deny that. It has been the gift of a lifetime to be part of it, and I'm deeply appreciative. Thanks very much. Hi, Michael. You ready? So first is the Pulitzer Prize in Journalism for Public Service. For a distinguished example of meritorious public service by a newspaper, magazine, or news site through the use of its journalistic resources, including the use of stories, editorials, cartoons, photographs, graphics, videos, databases, multimedia, or interactive presentations, or other visual material. The winner is the Associated Press for the work of Mstislav Chernov, Evgeny Maloletka, Vasilia Stepanakova, and Lori Hinnant, and their courageous reporting from the besieged city of Mariupol, which bore witness to the slaughter of civilians in Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Congratulations and thank you. Who's this for? Anybody. For breaking news reporting. For a distinguished example of local, state, or national reporting of breaking news that, as quickly as possible, captures events accurately as they occur, and as time passes, illuminates, provides context, and expands the initial coverage. The staff of the Los Angeles Times. The staff of the Los Angeles Times for revealing a secretly recorded conversation among city officials that included racist comments, followed by coverage of the rapidly resulting turmoil and deeply reported pieces that delved further into the racial issues affecting local politics. Congratulations to the staff of the Los Angeles Times. The Pulitzer Prize for investigative reporting. For a distinguished example of investigative reporting using any journalistic tool, the staff of the Wall Street Journal. For sharp accountability reporting on financial conflicts of interest among officials at 50 federal agencies, revealing individuals who bought and sold stocks they regulated, plus other ethical violations by officials charged with safeguarding the public interest. Congratulations to the staff of the Wall Street Journal. Pulitzer Prize for explanatory reporting. For a distinguished example of explanatory reporting that illuminates a significant and complex subject, demonstrating mastery of the subject, lucid writing, and clear presentation using any available journalistic tool. Caitlin Dickerson of The Atlantic. For deeply reported and compelling accounting of the Trump administration policy that forcefully separated migrant children from their parents, resulting in abuses that have persisted under the current administration. Congratulations, Caitlin Dickerson. The Pulitzer Prize for local reporting. For a distinguished example of coverage of significant issues of local or statewide concern, demonstrating originality and community connection using any available journalistic tool. 2 awards. First, John Archibald, Ashley Remkus, Ramsey Archibald, and Chalyn Stevens of Ale.com Birmingham for a series exposing how the police force in the town of Brookside preyed on residents to inflate revenue, coverage that prompted the resignation of the police chief, 4 new laws, and a state audit. Second, Anna Wolf of Mississippi Today Ridgeland for reporting that revealed how a former Mississippi governor used his office to steer millions of state welfare dollars to benefit his family and friends, including NFL quarterback Brett Favre. Congratulations to both of you. How are you? I'm good. Congratulations. Is that all of them? The Pulitzer Prize for national reporting. For a distinguished example of reporting on national affairs using any available journalistic tool, Caroline Kitchener of the Washington Post, for unflinching reporting that captured the complex consequences of life after Roe versus Wade, including the story of a teenager who gave birth to twins after new restrictions. That's Dobbs, isn't it? That's not correct here, right? Anyway, after new restrictions denied her an abortion. Congratulations to Caroline Kitchener. The Pulitzer Prize for international reporting, for a distinguished example of reporting on international affairs using any available journalistic tool. The staff of the New York Times. For their unflinching coverage of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, including an 8-month investigation into Ukrainian deaths in the town of Bucha and the Russian unit responsible for the killings. Congratulations to the New York Times. The Pulitzer Prize for feature writing. For distinguished feature writing, giving prime consideration to quality of writing, originality, and concision, using any available journalistic tool. Eli Saslow of the Washington Post. For evocative individual narratives about people struggling with the pandemic, homelessness, addiction, and inequality that collectively form a sharply observed portrait of contemporary America. Congratulations, Eli Saslow. The next is the Pulitzer Prize in Journalism for commentary. For distinguished commentary using any available journalistic tool, Kyle Whitmire of AL.com Birmingham. For measured and persuasive columns that document how Alabama's Confederate heritage still colors the present with racism and exclusion, told through tours of its first capital, its mansions and monuments, and through the history that has been omitted. Congratulations, Kyle Whitmire. Pulitzer Prize for criticism, for distinguished criticism using any available journalistic tool, Andrea Long Chu of New York Magazine, for book reviews that scrutinize authors as well as their works using multiple cultural lenses to explore some of society's most fraught topics. Congratulations, Andrea Long Chu. The Pulitzer Prize for editorial writing. For distinguished editorial writing, the test of excellence being clearness of style, moral purpose, sound reasoning, and the power to influence public opinion in what the writer conceives to be the right direction using any available journalistic tool. The Miami Herald Editorial Board. for a series written by Amy Driscoll of editorials on the failure of Florida public officials to deliver on many taxpayer-funded amenities and services promised to residents over the decades. Congratulations, Miami Herald editorial board, Amy Driscoll. Thank you. The Pulitzer Prize for illustrative reporting and commentary. For a distinguished portfolio of editorial cartoons or other illustrated work, still, animated, or both, characterized by political insight, editorial effectiveness, and public service value. Mona Chalabi, contributor, The New York Times. I'll say that again. Mona Chalabi, contributor, The New York Times, for striking illustrations that combine statistical reporting with keen analysis to help readers understand the immense wealth and economic power of Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. Congratulations, Mona Chalabi. Congratulations, Mona.
I'm so sorry, there was a very small factual inaccuracy, and you know, as journalists, we want to correct them. I don't think it's the Israel-Gaza war. I think it's the Israel-Palestine war. And no one in this room is willing to mention the P word, and I think it's really important. I'm sorry, I know I'm not supposed to make speeches here, but it felt important.
Next is the Pulitzer Prize for breaking news photography. For a distinguished example of breaking news photography in black and white or color, which may consist of a photograph or photographs, the photography staff of the Associated Press. For unique and urgent images from the first weeks of the Russian invasion of Ukraine after other news organizations left, including the devastation of Mariupol, victims of the targeting of civilian infrastructure, and the resilience of the Ukrainian people who were able to flee. Congratulations to the photography staff of the Associated Press. Next, the Pulitzer Prize for feature photography. For a distinguished example of feature photography in black and white or color, which may consist of a photograph or photographs, Christina House of the Los Angeles Times. For an intimate look into the life of a pregnant 22-year-old woman living on the street in 10 images that show her emotional vulnerability as she tries and ultimately loses the struggle to raise her child. Congratulations, Christina House. The next is the Pulitzer Prize for audio reporting. For a distinguished example of audio journalism that serves the public interest characterized by revelatory reporting and illuminating storytelling. Staff of Gimlet Media, notably Connie Walker. Whose investigation into her father's troubled past revealed a larger story of the abuse of hundreds of indigenous children at an Indian residential school in Canada, including other members of Walker's extended family. A personal search for answers expertly blended with rigorous investigative reporting. Congratulations to the staff of Gimlet Media and notably Connie Walker. Next is the Pulitzer Prize in fiction. For distinguished fiction by an American author, preferably dealing with American life. Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. A masterful recasting of David Copperfield, narrated by an Appalachian boy whose wise, unwavering voice relates his encounters with poverty, addiction, institutional failures, and moral collapse, and his efforts to conquer them. Congratulations to Barbara Kingsolver. And there's a second. Can I do the second? But I'll do it right after this one. Congratulations. And the second winner of the Pulitzer Prize in fiction is Herman Diaz for Trust. A riveting novel set in a bygone America that explores family, wealth, and ambition through linked narratives rendered in different literary styles, a complex examination of love and power in a country where capitalism is king. Congratulations, Hernan Diaz. The Pulitzer Prize in Drama, for a distinguished play by an American author, preferably original in its source and dealing with American life. English by Sanaz Tusi, a quietly powerful play about 4 Iranian adults preparing for an English language exam in a storefront school near Tehran, where family separations and travel restrictions drive them to learn a new language that may alter their identities and also represent a new life. Congratulations, Sanaz Tusi. Pulitzer Prize in History for a distinguished and appropriately documented book on the history of the United States. Freedom of Dominion, a saga of white resistance to federal power by Jefferson Cowie. A resonant account of an Alabama county in the 19th and 20th centuries shaped by settler colonialism and slavery, a portrait that illustrates the evolution of white supremacy by drawing powerful connections between anti-government and racist ideologies. Congratulations, Jefferson Cowie. Pulitzer Prize in Biography for a distinguished biography by an American author. G-Man, J. Edgar Hoover and the Making of the American Century by Beverly Gage. A deeply researched and nuanced look at one of the most polarizing figures in U.S. history that depicts the longtime FBI director in all his complexity, with monumental achievements and crippling flaws. Congratulations, Beverly Gage. The Pulitzer Prize in Memoir or Autobiography for a distinguished and factual memoir or autobiography by an American author. Stay True by Hiwa Hushu, an elegant and poignant coming-of-age account that considers intense, youthful friendships, but also random violence that can suddenly and permanently alter the presumed logic of our personal narratives. Congratulations, Hiwa Hushu. the Pulitzer Prize in Poetry for a distinguished volume of original verse by an American author. Then the War and Selected Poems, 2007 to 2020, by Carl Phillips. A masterful collection that chronicles American culture as the country struggles to make sense of its politics, of life in the wake of a pandemic, and of our place in a changing global community. Congratulations, Carl Phillips. Pulitzer Prize in General Nonfiction for a distinguished and appropriately documented book of nonfiction by an American author that is not eligible for consideration in any other category. His name is George Floyd, One Man's Life and the Struggle for Racial Justice, by Robert Samuels and Tolusi Olorunnipa, an intimate, riveting portrait of an ordinary man whose fatal encounter with police officers in 2020 sparked an international movement for social change, but whose humanity and complicated personal story were unknown. Congratulations to both of you. And the last prize is the Pulitzer Prize in Music for a distinguished musical composition by an American that has had its first performance or recording in the United States during the year. Omar, by Rhiannon Giddens and Michael Abels, an innovative By this point, we should have a certain rhythm going in the announcements. An innovative and compelling opera about enslaved people brought to North America from Muslim countries. A musical work that respectfully represents African as well as African American traditions, expanding the language of the operatic form while conveying the humanity of those condemned to bondage. Congratulations, Rhiannon Giddens and Michael Abels. And reception is back here. So that concludes this wonderful evening. Congratulations to all of the winners. Thank you to the Pulitzer Board. Everybody who's won, someone must come forward here and have a collective picture taken. And then there's a reception behind me for the remainder of the evening. Thank you very much.
Don't you stay with the prize winners? Okay, all prize winners, please come to get your picture taken.
Compañero. Three. Yeah? Nice that you're here, man.
I'm not sure how closely you followed the thread or the developments this morning. I mean, the new thing was that we finally got a perspective from facing south of this the malfunction, whatever it is.
I think it's Eric posted.
Yeah.
It was from like lower, or it was closer.
Yeah, well, it was CCTV, black and white, but
I think it's yeah. It was
but so we were able to sync it to everything else.
oh, neat.
Ale piszą.
Whoops.
Wait a minute,
Oh, well,
So, yeah, but so what we can see